Hey guys, it's been a while since I started a review with my face first, but I just wanted to make this a quick one, an unscripted version of a review of the Nothing Phone 3. Now, this has been extensively reviewed by all the big boys already, so I'm not gonna dive into specs. I'm not gonna really go into camera comparisons because you guys have probably seen all that. I'm just gonna come from a perspective as a user who's been living with it. And my daily driver is indeed an iPhone 16 Pro Max. So I am coming from that perspective. But what I want to say is this, that I really thought hard about switching over to the Nothing Phone 3. But there were two things that were holding me back. And really there were two things that was making it really difficult to make that choice. So the first thing was indeed the cameras. You guys have probably seen all the camera reviews and comparisons with every phone out there. And it is true that it does just leave you wanting for a little bit more, except for the macro shots. So macro shots are definitely world class, but it's weird because I definitely would have wanted a phone where I probably would have not minded spending a little bit more for a better camera system on top of a better battery life. So right now with the battery life, it's weird because when you open YouTube or when you're browsing something online, you start watching a video and you just see the percentage drop for just watching like a video for a few minutes. It's a very jarring experience and it makes you feel like you're maxing your phone out with the most basic daily tasks. There's also, of course, a drain overnight that happens, and I've had to turn off all the background app refreshes for everything, including the launcher. So it's really weird that the battery life, despite its size, is just very mediocre, if not quite a bad experience. So I say those two things first because I really like this phone. And I say that because the design on the phone, the back, I think is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like it belongs in the Museum of Modern Art. It reminds me just of the white one of the Guggenheim Museum. There's just so much artistic expression on the back. And the camera placement doesn't bother me at all. I think people who are bothered by that don't see what they were trying to achieve in terms of just that off symmetry, but at the same time, there's a curve to it if you connect the cameras. And also the glyph. The glyph for me is really an homage to a more simpler time. I'm showing my age, but I'm a millennial, so I grew up with the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Color. And I also had one of those little Tamagotchis. I actually didn't have one, but my brother or my sister had one. I remember playing with it, and all the graphics were pixelated like this, and it just reminds me of a more simple time. And I love how they did a modern rendition of this pixel glyph, which does have some practicality to it, but really is, of course, a quirk. But it's great how they designed it. The fact that they encourage you to put the screen down so you can see information. I've actually left the glyph on so that it's showing the time during just the daytime hours, which might contribute to the battery drain. But even before I had this on the whole day, the battery would drain. And also just design is pleasant to look at. With all that said, Carl, I would have really switched over from the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and you're probably not even watching this because there's thousands of reviews and the internet is just such a troll. But if you had made a phone that was $1,000 and you had nailed the camera system to be on par with some of the big boys out there, and the battery life was also among the best out there, then I would have easily spent $1,000. I don't need the fancy Snapdragon Elite. I don't need titanium rails. I think this feels amazing in the hands. This is one of the first phones I just want to hold because the build quality just feels amazing. I don't mind the weight at all. Everything is amazing when it comes to user experience and the user interface. I'm super impressed that the Nothing Phone team has able to create such a smooth and buttery soft operating system, and that's coming from having just reviewed the Fairphone 6, which also is incredibly well optimized. That battery life is better than this despite being smaller. But this one, I would have kept this one and worked around just all the frustrations. But yeah, I almost gave my iPhone 16 Pro Max to my wife, who's still on the 12 Pro Max and refuses to give that up. That's my hot take, and I hope that this just helps anyone who's still on the fence about the Nothing Phone 3. Overall, if you don't mind the camera and you can kind of get over the battery aspect of it, this is an amazing phone. There's nothing else like it on the market, and it's gorgeous. I think you'd really enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.